Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to another Nomadic Network event. It's so wonderful to see all of you. We may have a smaller, more intimate group tonight, which we always love because then we can have you come off on mute at the end and ask Alisha your questions yourselves. So while everyone is joining the room, just a little intro and a few slides. My name is Leah. I am a host for the Nomadic Network, and I lead the Los Angeles chapter as well. And I'm joined here today by Alisha McDarris. We're so excited to have her. While we're waiting a few more seconds for people to file in, go ahead and find the chat and let me know where you're calling in from, how many TNN events you've been to, and tell me about either your most recent or your next camping trip coming up. Because you can use that chat to chat with each other, share your stories and tips, and yeah, utilize it to network and say hi to one another. And I will go ahead and pull up my screen real quick. All right, so again, welcome to the Nomadic Network. If you're new here, special welcome to you. We are a community, a global community of travel enthusiasts. I'm so sorry, global community of travel enthusiasts that were started by Nomadic Matt back in 2019. We launched in about 22 plus cities across the globe with live community events where we could go out to bars and restaurants and rooftops and hug each other and whatnot. But we help each other, travel smarter, better, cheaper, and longer, which is always great sharing those stories. And just like the rest of the world, we pivoted to virtual events when coronavirus happened, which is a blessing in disguise because we got to reach more people at different hours of the day in all corners of the earth, got to meet more people around the world. We do three kinds of events currently. Bigger speaker ones like this where people like Alisha so graciously donate their time, tell us about a topic. We do a Q&A with them at the end. We do book clubs as well. Those are once a month, virtual book clubs. And right now we're running virtual happy hours, which we're hoping, to turn to in-person happy hours soon, depending on rules and regulations. But for now, those are virtual and you don't need to live in the region to attend the happy hour. So a few things to keep in mind. You can go ahead and turn your camera on, or if you're still working or just listening in, that's totally fine too. You'll be muted for the duration of the presentation so we can give Alisha the floor. Like I said, feel free to use the chat. And if you have a question that we can answer at the end, go ahead and start your question with the word question so I can pull it out. Some events are followed by an after hours networking session. If we have people that want to stay today, I will host that networking session. It's just a few minutes to get to know each other more intimately, which is really cool. And like I said, people like Alisha are doing this out of the kindness of their heart and all the knowledge they have to share. So for that, we're very grateful. And a few QR codes at the bottom. For any replays, we invite you to join Nomadic Map Plus Network. It's our membership network. We've moved off of Patreon and onto Nomadic Map Plus, and it is amazing. I'll detail some of the perks in a bit. And we'd invite you to also follow us on Instagram at the Nomadic Network. You can scan either of these codes into your phone camera and it will take you straight to the page. Excuse me. Ooh, went back a little too far. So all right, so I went ahead and stopped sharing. I want to introduce you all to Alisha. We're so excited to have her here. She is a journalist, blogger, and photographer who specializes in any and all subjects related to the outdoors and veganism. Amazing. She is the co-founder, writer, and snarky video personality over at Sustainable Travel, an outdoor adventure blog called Terra Drift. And today she's sharing how to make your camping trips more sustainable. So we're excited to hear from you, Alisha.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Hey. Welcome. Good evening to you all. It's so weird to just speak and not like hear anybody talk back. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I am a blogger, YouTube personality. YouTuber sounds weird to me still, so I guess that's what I am though. I run Terra Drift with my husband Josh, and I guess I'll just go ahead and share my screen with you guys and get this party started. Um, Let's do it. Let's do it. This one. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it okay. Yeah. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, cool. I don't do a lot of Zoom meetings, so I just want to double check. So yeah, I am an outdoor journalist and photographer, mostly do travel writing and outdoor related stuff. But I also am co-founder of terradrift.com, also a YouTube channel with my husband, Josh, like I said. And this whole presentation is going to be about how to make your camping trips more sustainable. Because if you're going to spend time in the outdoors, you should do your part to protect the outdoors. I believe this wholeheartedly. So a little bit about me and Terradrift. Like I said, that's my husband Josh in the photo, and myself outside of Durango in Durango at the Nordic Ski Center this winter. We travel a lot. We go places. We do things mostly outside. We shoot a lot of videos. We do a lot of gear reviews, destination guides, tips and tricks about how to camp, backpack, just basically spend more time outdoors doing whatever it is that you like to do outside and doing it more sustainably. So all the stuff that encompasses. Basically, we just like to have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We like to have a good time. I do say snarky YouTube personality because we do get a little attitude-y up in there. But yeah, we're vegan personally, so that plays a big part in our whole thing. And we are really, really passionate about sustainability, and we want to help other people figure out how to adventure and travel more sustainably as well. So you can find us at terradrift.com or youtube.com/terradrift, and then on all the social channels at Terradrift. But I think we'll get you some of those links later. So that's me. Moving on with this presentation, let's just start with the basics, which in my opinion is like everything starts with leave no trace. And if you're going to spend any amount of time in the outdoors, you should definitely be familiar with leave no trace principles. There are 7, and it is the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. So it's a whole thing, and they are really cool folks if you're not familiar with them. But the 7 principles are awesome. And honestly, you could dive into these and I could spend a half an hour just talking about leave no trace principles, but we'll try to just kind of overview them here for you. So, we can get to other fun stuff. So the first principle is plan ahead and prepare. This is obviously a big one. It's exactly what it sounds like. If you don't plan ahead and prepare for camping trips, what's the saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's especially true with spending time in the outdoors, especially when you're taking sustainability into account. When you don't plan ahead and prepare, you end up realizing you forgot a bunch of stuff. You have to buy a bunch of disposables or single-use items, or end up creating a lot more waste than you would have if you just planned ahead a little bit, made sure you packed everything that you needed, whether that's for just a day hike or whether it's for a whole big camping or backpacking trip. So make sure that you go through checklists and you really plan ahead and make sure you have everything you need. Second is to travel and camp on durable surfaces. Speaking of camping specifically, most of the time that's not going to be a problem in designated campgrounds. Like if you've made a reservation at a campground, there are going to be specific campsites for you to camp in. So that's easy. But if you're going into the backcountry, or if you're doing dispersed camping or freedom camping, like I do a lot, you're probably going into areas where there aren't designated campsites. And in that case, you want to make sure that you are setting up camp and pitching your tent on places that you're not going to do a lot of damage. So on packed dirt or a boulder or something like that, instead of a field of flowers. You'd like to think it's fairly common sense knowledge, but what do they say about common sense these days? The third point is maybe one of the biggest, and that's dispose of waste properly. And that goes for all food wrappers and scraps, as well as human waste. So when it comes to food scraps, one big one is a lot of people, and I grew up thinking this personally, so it's totally understandable that so many other people probably do too, is that you can just throw like apple cores and orange peels and stuff like that into the woods because they're natural, right? And they're biodegradable. But I see somebody shaking their head. That's not the case. I mean, they are natural and biodegradable, but they stick around for a long time. Like you're going to be walking past that orange peel for years if the second part of this doesn't come into play, and that's that it attracts animals. And so animals from squirrels to bears are learning that humans come here and they leave free snacks for them. And the last thing you want is to start getting animals acclimated and accustomed to your presence, and also attracting them to areas where you might be camping or whatever. So when you are hiking or camping, always make sure you have trash bags and things like that, reusable zip top bags or something, and make sure you stuff all of your food waste like apple cores and granola bar wrappers, that sort of thing. Put it all in a spare zip top bag and make sure you keep it all packed up nice and tidy, and pack it out with you when you leave, or throw it away in a dumpster. Dispose of it where it needs to be disposed of. And that goes for the campsite as well. Don't try to burn food waste, or if you have leftovers at the end of the day, don't burn it. Studies have shown that bears, when they wander into when they wander into campsites, fire pits are the very first place they usually go, because they know that people just toss food scraps in there, or disposable plates and cups and things like that still have food residue. And those things just don't burn as well or as easily as you probably think they might. So don't try to burn your trash, just pack it all out with you. And make sure you bring receptacles so you can collect all that trash properly. As for human waste, the worst thing that any hiker can see on a trail is toilet paper in a bush. So just don't do that. If you do have to go to the bathroom outdoors, which it happens, I pee in the woods frequently. So either bury your toilet paper or pack it out with you. So bring another disposable zip top bag or something like that with you so that you can pack it out sanitarily and dispose of it when you get back to civilization. As for more solid human waste, if you do need to go to the bathroom in the outdoors, you must go 200 feet away from natural water sources like creeks, streams, lakes, that sort of thing. Dig a hole 6 to 8 inches deep, which means, guess what? You have to bring a little shovel with you, and bury everything, your waste, your toilet paper, when you're done, into that hole. So nobody knows that you were ever there going to the bathroom in the woods. So make sure you take care of that. And then the next point, leave what you find. And that goes for natural things like flowers and pine cones, as well as just other cool artifacts or things that you might find. If it's the former, flowers and pine cones, you may have grown up with your parents telling you the same thing mine did, is that you need to leave it so that everybody else can enjoy it. But it could also be food for animals who live in the area. So you want to make sure that all of that stuff stays for them. As for the latter, like artifacts and things like that, leave those where you find them. And then if it's something really interesting and you think it might be old, tell a ranger on your way out and be like, hey, I found this whatever back by Mile Junction, this place. And maybe you want to go check it out. And that way they can go see if it's something worth saving. Minimize campfire impacts is a big one. Honestly, there are so many pointers and tips and rules for campfires in the outdoors, especially if you're not in a developed campsite. If you are, go nuts. Obviously follow local guidelines. Like if there's a burn ban in effect, sorry, you just can't have a fire. But if you are dispersed camping and there's no burn ban, just be safe about it. Keep it small. Make sure you're not over collecting wood or chopping down any tree branches or anything like that. And when you put it out, most importantly, put it out completely. I'm talking like cool to the touch. You want this fire pit so soupy, you can put your hand an inch over where the flame just was, and it it's not warm. So that's how you need to put a campfire out when you are finished with it. Next one is respect wildlife, and that mostly has to do with distance. We all hear all the time about like Yellowstone or the Grand Canyon or whatever, where somebody gets head-butted by a bison or charged by an elk or something like that because they got too close. They wanted a selfie or whatever. And that's just a bad idea. So don't do that. The general rule of thumb, and I actually am really curious to see if this is maybe where it came from, probably not, but if you hold your arm out at, or your thumb out at arm's length and close one eye, if your thumb doesn't cover the animal in question, you are too close. So back on up. You want to respect wildlife. This is their home. You're just passing through. So give them their space, be quiet when you see them, be safe, and enjoy them from a distance. Bring a zoom lens if you want to get a little closer up. And lastly, be considerate of other visitors. This is a big one too. That involves sharing the trail, stepping off the trail if it's a narrow one and offering to let somebody go past first, yielding the trail if somebody's coming up behind you that's faster than you, but also keeping volume to a minimum. I have a personal pet peeve with people who use a speaker when they listen to music on the trail, because I like to be outdoors in the quiet and listening to the birds and just like enjoying nature. And it's just nice to respect other people who came out here to do that too. So if you want to listen to music, cool, that's fine, but bring earbuds and keep your volume level down when you're camping and you're it's late at night. Don't blast the music. Don't be like screaming around with your neighbors, because everybody's out here for a different reason and you want to make it enjoyable for everybody. So that's Leave No Trace. If you visit their website, it really goes in depth. Get news releases of new gear coming out and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want it all. Fortunately, we do a lot of gear reviews, so I do get to test that stuff regularly. But the thing with gear is that it's the most sustainable gear is gear that you already have. So if you have gear that works, keep using it. If you do need new gear and you need to gear up, or maybe you're thinking about getting into camping for the first time, start with gear that is well made and that is going to last. It's really tempting, especially when you're trying something out for the first time, to get the cheapest thing you can just to get it. But generally that means it's not going to last as long and you're going to end up tossing it and having to buy it again. And not only is that a waste of money in the long term, but it also means a lot of stuff is going to the landfill, which is obviously not very sustainable. So get stuff that's well made and that's going to last. If you have to, like save up for it for a while, because gear can be really expensive. And I feel that. Also look for stuff that comes with a warranty. A lot of gear these days comes with excellent warranties. And so, check for that. Look for gear made of sustainable materials, like things made out of recycled polyester, like, plastic bottles, organic cotton or hemp, which is super sustainable. Look for metal versus plastic, especially when it comes to utensils and things like that. Look for brands that give back or contribute to sustainable and social endeavors. Is an umbrella term. There's the whole intersectionality movement and making sure that brands now are not just talking about the environment, they're talking about culture as well, and people. So, don't be afraid to click on brands' ethics pages and see what they stand for and what they donate to and who they're giving back to and supporting and that sort of thing. And pick gear brands that, align with your ethics. Check for brands that are carbon neutral. There are lots these days, and that generally means that they're doing as much as they can to do as much good as they can, which is always a plus. And then repair your gear instead of buying new. It's so tempting to just buy a new tent or sleeping bag or whatever. But if it still works and it just has a little hole in it, it's so easy to fix that stuff. So just learn how to do it. We have tons of videos and articles about repairing your gear on our website, from re-waterproofing jackets to fixing holes in your tent fly and that sort of thing. So fix it. It's so satisfying to pull out your tent and be like, see that patch? I fixed that. I have a shirt that's just my favorite that now has 3 patches on it because I can't let it go, and I just keep putting a new patch on it. So try repairing your gear, make it last. And then if you are new to this whole camping thing, try renting gear instead of buying it. Even if you're not new to it and you're trying it in a new destination, like you're gonna camp in Colorado in the winter when it's going to be cold, but you don't have a winter camping tent, rent it instead of buying it if you don't think you're going to use it very often. There are tons of online manufacturers that or websites that do that sort of thing, that will mail you gear to test and you just ship it back. Some REIs even will rent you the gear that you need. So check locally as well. And that way you get to sort of test it out instead of buying it, using it once, and then realizing, nah, this isn't really for me. I'm going to keep it in my garage for the next 10 years. That's just kind of wasteful. So rent before you buy. Or if you buy and decide it doesn't work for you, Facebook Marketplace, yo. I love Facebook Marketplace for used gear. Next, when it comes to actually pitching your tent or your camping hammock or whatever, find a sustainable campsite. That involves, sticking with developed and designated campsites, if at all possible. Obviously, in the backcountry, you sometimes have to find your own, but if there are designated sites available, stay in one of those. If you're dispersed camping, be prepared to adhere to all leave no trace principles, because honestly, it's going to be more like backpacking than camping in most cases, where you're going to have to bring in your own water. There may not be a bathroom. So be prepared for that. You can use apps like Campendium or freecampsites.net to find those kind of sites if that's what you're keen to do. That's my favorite on road trips and stuff. I love doing that. Don't cut down trees for firewood or break off branches. Don't over harvest dead and downed wood around your campsite. Just walk a little farther to find some more. And don't start a fire where there hasn't been one before. I mean, you can, if you know safe fire building principles and how to reduce your impact. But ideally, if you're not comfortable with that, just don't have a fire, or bring a portable folding fire pit type thing, if there's no burn ban in effect and you're allowed to have a campfire. And that way you can just have your fire, put it out, fold your thing up and go away and be done with that. They're really handy. I love them. And then finally, go camping at off-peak times to reduce sort of the cumulative impact of hundreds of people, going to one single area at the same time, like national parks on a weekend. If you can go during the week, do. Obviously, not everybody can, and that's okay. But if that's an option, you'll also beat the crowds. So extra plus right there. And obviously, I'm vegan. I really, really love to eat. No presentation would be complete without talking about food and coffee. Frankly, I'm obsessed with coffee. But anyway, first thing you can do to reduce your impact immediately is eat more plant-based food. The factory farming industry is one of, if not the most harmful industries on the planet when it comes to harmful greenhouse gases. So by choosing a plant-based meal over a meat-based meal, you're automatically reducing your footprint like megatons. So, even if you're not vegan or you wouldn't identify as a vegetarian, mix it up a little, try some plant-based meals and see how you like it. Do it a couple times a week, or at lunchtime when you're camping, or dinner, or whatever. Also be cognizant of the packaging involved in your meals. Make your own snacks and meals instead of buying single-use individually wrapped items. Food, just the way we buy it, so much waste is involved. It's so hard to avoid it. But by making your own granola bars or fruit leather, you can totally reduce so much of that packaging. And actually, I have some recipes in a free backcountry cookbook that I'll share the link with you guys after this, and it's all plant-based, like snacks and meals. Bring reusable receptacles for storing food, especially if you're car camping. Like, bring reusable containers and reusable zip top bags, like stasher bags or something, to keep extra food in, or your snacks in, or whatever. Use pots and pans instead of disposable items and aluminum to cook with. I have some from Goodwill that I picked up in like Anchorage, Alaska on a road trip. I was like, well, these are my camping pans now. So we don't need to use like foil to line grill grates and stuff. And then if you use a camp stove, think about getting a refillable gas growler instead of those like disposable green bottles from Coleman or whatever. They're very hard to recycle. So brands like Ignic make refillable growlers that reduce that waste, and they're amazing. And then for water, get a refillable container and a filter or purifier instead of loading your car up with a bunch of single-use plastic water bottles. That's probably one of the easiest things you can do, because those things aren't that expensive, like a big water cube or whatever from a local outdoor store, and you're set. Finally, some tips for reducing words and stuff. Waste and respecting resources. Always bring receptacles for trash. I like to have one for recyclables and one for garbage. And then even if the campground doesn't have a recycling program, I will take it home with me if I don't have far to go, and recycle it there. Bring reusables like plates and straws and cups and utensils instead of like disposable paper plates and things. They're everywhere these days. They're super easy to find, and they're not that expensive. I am obsessed with my portable utensil kits that are in like tidy little zip pouches. They're wonderful. Like I said, never burn your trash. Consider using solar power and rechargeable batteries to charge things like headlamps or lights at night, or whatever else you need to power. Like Goal Zero makes so much cool stuff that's easy on the planet. Then you don't have to use single-use batteries and stuff like that. Use biodegradable soap if you're going to be cleaning yourself or your dishes when you're camping. And just remember that biodegradable soap is not biodegradable in water. So do not wash dishes or your clothes or yourself in natural water sources. It's only biodegradable in dirt. So no dumping dishwater in the pond. Also be mindful of chemicals in sunscreen and bug spray if you'll be swimming, and that goes for lakes, rivers, streams, oceans. I think most people are familiar with the whole reef safe sunscreen thing at this point. If you're not, don't sweat it. There's still time. But there are chemicals in a lot of this stuff that harm aquatic ecosystems, including coral and stuff like that. So if you will be in the water, look for reef safe sunscreens and bug sprays and things like that to do the least amount of harm. And we have like a whole list of those on Terra Drift if you want some ideas. And that pretty much wraps it up. So I'm happy to ask any questions. I don't need to ask questions. I can provide answers though to your questions. So if you have any, fire away.
Thank you, Alisha. That was so great and short and sweet, and so much information packed into this presentation, and super helpful. So I'm going to drop Alisha's contact information in the chat so you can check out Terra Drift and her YouTube channel. Everything's on their Instagram, Facebook, however you want to connect with her, go ahead. And since we are a small group today, if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump off of mute and Alisha can answer them directly. I love these intimate ones because we just get to talk to each other and share any ideas, stories, and questions we have. So, oh my goodness. I had like so many small questions come up myself, but I was like, oh, I don't know if they're like really relevant to like camping in the outdoors. I don't want to bore anyone. Relevant. I'm like, I don't want to bore anyone with how long I should have my REI backpack backpack for.
Forever.
I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. I've had it since 2015 and I'm like, it still works. I'm like,
Well,
why
there you
would I
go.
get rid of it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then in the chat, I was asking people for like water filter, like Life Straw and whatnot. Do you have any recommendations for those?
I do. I see that somebody said they've been using the Grail, and I actually love the Grail because it's a filter and purifier in one, which is super important, because if you're going to be filtering water from natural sources, you should really be filtering and purifying, which is two separate things, because they don't kill everything. The only way to kill everything in the water is to boil the water or use UV. And of course, UV still doesn't like filter anything out. So the Grail filters and purifies. And there are a couple bottles that also do that too, like the Rapid Pure from Adventure Medical Kits. And there's one called Epic water filters. And those are both like bottle based if you just want to drink water. I love the Grail because you just press it and then you can drink out of the bottle, or you can refill your hydration bladder, which is what I prefer to drink out of when I'm hiking, so that I can be hands-free, or rather camera in hand and trekking pole in other hand.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a great one. I really like it. And we did a review on the blog and YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out for yourself.
Oh, awesome.
Look it up.
Yeah, I've never heard of it personally. So I'm like, ooh, what is this?
They're relatively new, I think.
Oh, okay.
But they're awesome.
Okay. All right. Ali has a question. It's asking, what's your opinion on using bug spray while outdoors? I think,
yeah, I try to avoid using DEET because it freaks me out. Anything that melts synthetics makes me nervous. That said, you can buy clothing that has insect repellent sort of like washed into it, but most of it washes out. There are a few brands now that it's like, shoot, who is it? Is it Houdini or Fjallraven maybe? Ooh, I don't remember. Somebody's making something that it's just like the way it's stitched. Bugs can't get to you, but that does mean you have to wear long sleeves and pants all the time. And I am anti pants in the summer because I don't like to be hot. But so I try to use more natural bug sprays because frankly, insect activity, like they can be dangerous. Obviously, mosquitoes can transmit diseases and so can ticks. So depending on where you are, you do need to be careful about it. That said, like we have written lists of like, here are bug sprays that don't contain DEET and that are, probably better for you and better for the environment and stuff like that. So, if you don't have to, like if I can get away with not using it, I will. But there are just sometimes that like they're everywhere and
Absolutely. And I actually get really bad, like allergic, like skin reactions to them to the point where they're painful, like red welts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my doctor was like, okay, just stay away from countries and travels that have mosquitoes. I'm like, yeah, doc,
like,
that's not, find a new doctor. No,
yeah.
But, so have you heard of Picardin then? I think Sawyer makes Picardin too. How do you feel about that?
I forget what the research was because I wrote about bug spray, I think last summer. And I think the deal with that is it hasn't been researched as much as DEET. So we're not really sure, but it seems to be better as far as the impact and the like DEET, part of the DEET is not just what it can do to synthetics, right? It's like what it can possibly do seeping into your skin and like brain function and stuff like that. Science, I don't know. Which is my answer for anything that I can't fully explain. I'm like, science, man, I don't know. But it seems better. But yeah, dive in, like start doing some research. and see what people are saying about it now, like the scientific community, for sure.
It actually works better for me. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll continue. Yeah.
It works pretty well as far as functionality.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I saw on your slide, you had said permethrin. Yes. But permethrin's only used on like fabrics, right? I think I use it on my clothes, and I know you can use it on tents and sleeping bags.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I feel like it's in one brand of something, or maybe it's a I feel like I need to look it up or something to find out what.
Oh, you're talking about built-in permethrin?
No, I think it's in a spray. Like one brand uses it, but I'm gonna have to look up my own post about it.
Is it Sawyer?
I write, it's possible. I write about it and then it immediately goes out. I'm like, hold on, let me reference my own writing. Hold on a second.
Okay. So we can move on to the next one, but I'll actually just search your blog for it.
Okay. Alisha. Yeah, I was kind of doing that too. I'm like, I'll look it up while we answer other things.
Yep. So Heather would like to know, where can you rent gear from again? Like, where were some of the recommendations you had?
Yeah. So some REIs you can rent locally, depending on how big the REI is. So check there. Also maybe local gear shops. Some local gear shops will rent you things. So always support your local gear shops if possible. They're awesome and they know their stuff. Of course, somebody asked this question and I don't remember what the website is. Gear rentals. Like, I know them. I've written about them again. Oh my gosh. Arrive Outdoors is one of them. Is probably one of the bigger ones. And there's another one too, and I can't remember what it is, but maybe I can.
From friends, right?
Yes, from friends. If you have friends who have camping stuff, you borrow it. I'm always telling my friends, I'm like, yeah, you need a tent, you come to me. Don't buy a new tent if you're just trying this out. You come to me. Arrive Outdoors is the only one that's coming to mind right now. But
okay, great. Those are some great recommendations. So thank you. So Erica wanted to know, how do you communicate sustainable practices with people that you're going camping with? Like, do you send ground rules ahead of time, or do you ask if you could provide them with education on, how you practice sustainable camping and would love for them to adopt while you're together? Like, if someone's on a different level than you are.
Yeah. Camping with people. I haven't done that in a while. It feels like it's been ages since I've camped with people.
Yeah.
Other than my husband. But the last time that happened, when I go camping or backpacking with people I don't think are as experienced as I am, I offer tips and tricks. I'll send them links to some of the articles on my website. I'll be like, hey, if you need some recommendations beforehand, check this list out. Or if you need some food ideas, check this out. And try to I'm constantly afraid of coming off as like that know-it-all person. So I'm always trying to do it very nonchalantly, like, oh, hey, do you want a recommendation for that? Let me send you this. But a lot of times it's the first time I go out with them. I'll just casually mention, oh, hey, did you know instead of this, you could use this? Let me tell you about it. It's so cool. And then, casually move them in this direction. And I found that usually works really well because you're already in person, you're hanging out. And okay, so they didn't do it perfectly this time, but I bet they will next time. And that's a win.
Great.
Because it's a journey.
Awesome. Oh, absolutely. It is. So Sarah has a scenario and a question. So Sarah's tent foundation has seriously started to break down after about 16 years. I feel like I'm starting a math problem. It's the tarp material that's flaking. So is it better to repair that or replace it?
If it's flaking, it means the coating is probably coming off, and you can repair it. But if the whole thing is flaking, at that point, it might be better to replace it, because what you have to do usually is like peel off all of the pieces that are flaking, which if it's the whole thing could take a minute. And then there's Gear Aid makes it, and I bet you Nick Wax does too, like a rub on sealant basically. And so you could do that, like if it's just bits and pieces that need resealing, you could do that. But if it's the whole thing, like there comes a point where, okay, you're allowed to replace it now. You've made it last for 16 good years. Good on ya.
All right. Thanks for that advice. Yeah, Gerard had a comment about DEET also leaches off your clothes when you cross a stream. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We do not want that in the water.
Yeah. There's so many bad chemicals that we bring into the outdoors with us, unfortunately.
Yep. All right. So Geetha, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has a question also. Geetha is planning on doing a through hike and has a question regarding contact lenses. This is great. I too am a contact lens wearer. I've been told it's better to use single-use lenses than monthly ones for hygiene reasons during hikes. But this means there's a lot of plastic waste. Glasses don't work as well, as it's difficult to put sunglasses over a proper wraparound one. So what are your thoughts on contact lens use for hiking? Do you wear contacts?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
And I have struggled with this so much because honestly, the single use thing just like came onto my radar in the last year because I was complaining about it with someone about contact lenses. And I'm like, I have to bring my contact lens solution in a case, and that's just heavy when I'm backpacking. I'm a little person. I can't carry all that weight. So I'm cutting everything. I got half a toothbrush in my bag, for crying out loud. But I was like, but single-use contacts, you're right, like that's so much waste. So basically last summer I decided to shell out for some transitions lenses in my glasses. And because I am also like diehard sunglasses all the time, I have wimpy blue eyes. So I shelled out finally for the first time in my life at 33 for transitions lenses. And honestly, I like them. Like I got a decent pair of glasses that stays on my face and they automatically turn into sunglasses. Like, yeah, they're not as convenient as having contacts in, but I have given myself eye infections by, poor hygiene while backpacking. So it worked out pretty well for me, but I've been there. I've done that. I feel your pain.
Absolutely. And this is a silly question. So remember how I said I didn't know what pack in, pack out meant until like a month ago? Yeah. What is a through hike for those that may not be as knowledgeable?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great question. Like I'm in the outdoor world and I totally forget sometimes that not everybody knows all of the verbiage and terminology that I know.
You have a glossary on your website as well?
I should have one. Cool. I should. Oh my gosh. Why do I not? Okay, well, that's happening this week. So it's basically when you're hiking longer term, usually point to point. So there's no like specific length for a through hike. The longest through hike in Texas is almost 100 miles or something. It's the Sam Houston National Forest, the Lone Star Trail. There we go. And it probably takes like a week to hike. But it's usually you're going point to point and there may be resupplies along the way. Like you have to schedule resupplies, but like hiking the Appalachian Trail would be a through hike if you're going to do the whole thing from Georgia to Maine, right? Georgia to Maine, or the Pacific Crest Trail or the Central Divide Trail. Oh my gosh, words and stuff. Continental Divide Trail. There it is. I knew that was wrong.
There we go.
Of which I have done none because I don't know. There you go. Been there, done that. AT. Yeah. So yeah, like that's a 5-month through hike right there.
Wow.
So yes, usually it
Impressive.
involves resupplies. I'm always impressed
Oh, okay.
by these people. Someday, maybe. I can't decide if I want to spend 5 months hiking. I will eventually. I just have to do it.
Work your way up to
Yes.
it, or
Props to you folks who have.
find time. Yeah, it sounds like we have a couple in the room that have, so that's amazing. Yeah, Gerard mentioned his trail accomplishments, amazing, but also single-use contacts become an issue with resupply as well. I actually wear dailies, and they're just better for like my dry eye. But when I go like back, I mean, I'm not a camper, I'm not a backpacker. I use a backpack when I go traveling, right? I'm just a cheap traveler. So I backpack, and it's always funny because when I go for months and months at a time, you're gonna laugh, but I literally bring like a Ziploc bag of daily contacts. And my friends have literally recognized my bag in luggage storage. They're like, I knew you were here because I saw that huge bag of contact lenses just popping out of your backpack. I'm like, well, I wear dailies. Like, what do you? So it is difficult. I mean, it is better, much as far as hygiene, cleanliness, is way better for your eyes, because I've also given myself like eye infections wearing like a 2-week lens and not practicing proper hygiene when I was like at a music festival or something. So it's difficult, but yes, everyone's different. So definitely chat with your eye doctor.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I have an eye doctor in New Zealand when I was backpacking around New Zealand doing like the van life thing for a while, implied that I was a dirty backpacker when I showed up, and I was like, my eye hurts. He was like, oh, you're backpacking? Okay. Well, you need to be cleaner. I was like, no. But yes, you did, like, sustainability is a journey, and if dailies are a thing that you need to do, then like you have to do what you have to do. And I feel you about the transitions, like don't get dark enough. I pair them. I always wear a hat, so I also have like a sunshade as well, and that's very helpul.
Absolutely. But I feel you. Yes. Any way to cover up
those damn hippies. I love it, Sarah.
Do you have any favorite brands of sunscreen?
I do. Actually, recently my husband used a different brand, and he was like, well, I guess I have to use Skinnies for the rest of my life now. We discovered a brand called Skinnies last year, and it's out of Australia, I think. But you can get it here in the US, obviously. And it's very environmentally friendly. They cut out like most of the water in sunscreen. Like most of sunscreen is just water, so they took almost all of it out, and so you need so very little of it. Like they say, you need a pea size for your face and neck, and that's it. Wow. And it's just nice, and I like it. And it's a little more expensive, but like the tube will last you a long time because you need so little of it. But I really do like that brand. And it's reef safe, of course, and vegan. So.
Of course. There we go. That's what I was like. It's reef safe, right?
It's also reef safe and vegan.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking it up. That's great. Do you know where you purchased it here, Alisha?
I think it's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon. That might be it for now, I think, because I'm not sure you can get it straight from their website in the US.
Okay.
But feel free to check. Oh, there you go. You got a link up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's on Amazon.
Great. Yeah.
And of course, the last time I ordered it was a bit ago, so it may have changed.
Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, did anyone?
Yeah, I could talk about gear recommendations all day long.
Yeah, I mean, please do drop them. I think Ali is like, yes. He's like, Ali is going on a trip to Acadia National Park. Did I read that correctly? Right, during the week instead of the weekend. Smart.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be up there as well later this summer, like late summer. I haven't been to Acadia yet, so I'm here in Western Mass for the summer. And so I'm like, well, time to road trip around New England, hit up some Maine, go to Acadia. So here we go. I'm excited.
That'll be great.
Yes.
Do you camp outside of the US? And if you do, is it easy to stay as sustainable?
Again, it's been so long since I've been out of the US.
Oh, yep. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
But I have. I'm trying to remember. The last time I camped was in Guatemala, and I went. It was actually a group trip because I went to Guatemala with a couple friends, and so we took like a guided overnight hike / camping trip up Acatenango, the volcano, and it was awesome. Hey, you're in Guatemala, right on. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience, and I think as far as sustainability goes, it was not bad, which I guess sort of surprised me. The gear they provided us with, because I didn't know I was doing it when I first got to Guatemala, I was like, oh dang, we're hiking volcano. Okay, I didn't have any of my own gear, so they like everything they had was this janky used stuff, and I was like, well, at least it's sustainable. Like it's used. It's basically rented gear. We all have these outdated puffy jackets. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, awesome. We all looked like we were out of the 90s with these backpacks and coats. But like a lot of cultures are sustainable by default without even really being aware of it, because they don't have the access to the single-use plastic. So depending on where you're going, like when we got to the top to our campsite, he was cooking our dinner in like full-size pots and pans and stuff. We weren't doing like instant food. They had cooked us all meals, and I think maybe they packaged it in some sort of plastic thing, but if I'm remembering correctly, it was like a reusable container. I mean, like it just depends on, I guess, which country you're going to, and if you come prepared or not. Obviously, like I could have done a lot better if I would have planned ahead and been like, I'm hiking a volcano. I will bring my backpack and my trekking poles, and I highly recommend trekking poles if you're going to be going up Acatenango. Is he nodding?
I've heard it's so incredibly difficult. Gerard, you can come off mute and tell us about your experience if you're there right now.
Oh my gosh, it almost killed me, but
yeah, I hear it's pretty tough. I didn't do it when I was there,
but amazing. Highly recommended. And it only killed me because I swear, like I didn't have my gear with me. I was like carrying a lumpy pack, and everything was hanging, and I was like, dang crap, this could have been so much better. So like coming prepared.
Yeah, I guess the thing too, it's like how like if you want to be this practice sustainability the way you do it back home, then you have to bring everything, right?
Yeah.
So it sounded like Acatenango was maybe like a addition to the trip after you got there.
Yeah, it was sort of it was a very last minute trip, so that was the largest part, but it's also the words and stuff. Oh, like when you are traveling, now I always bring reusable zip top bags with me, like silicone zip top bags that can be washed and reused, and that way, but when they're empty, they take up no space, or they can hold my toiletries and stuff like that, so that you can use those for a multitude of purposes if you need to, instead of single-use stuff or whatever, and having like that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, Sarah has one question. What's the impact of toothpaste and dish soap outdoors? Sarah grew up doing it at the edge of her campsite, but realized now maybe I shouldn't be spitting and tossing dishwater into the weeds.
It's depending on it. I mean, like it depends on the situation, but it's largely okay. If you are in like grizzly country, or even areas where there are a lot of bears, you may want to go farther away from your campsite to like spit your toothpaste, because anything that smells unnatural, or like it could be food, which is pretty much anything that smells to a bear, could attract them to your campsite. So if there are larger things that might be more dangerous, go probably like 100, 200 feet away from your campsite to spit your toothpaste. And you can like scatter your dish soap as well, instead of like just dumping it, just like whoosh, scatter it away, and just make sure there's not too much food, like chunks and residue left in it, because that will, again, like attract things. So try to scrape as much of the food into your face hole as you can. And then you like rinse it, do your dish soap, your biodegradable dish soap, and then scatter it, and do the same when you spit your toothpaste. Like don't keep spitting in the same spot. And like actually in Denali, they show you a video at Denali National Park. They show you a video where they want you to like spray your toothpaste like you're blowing out a candle almost, and it just like ionizes it and goes everywhere. It's really funny, and I can't get it to work very well, but I try. And so that it's okay to do, especially if it's like biodegradable soap. It'll be all right. Just take it a little farther from your campsite if you're in bear country.
Is this weird? Like, what if could you like, again, dig a small hole and like spit it in there and then cover it back up? So
you can.
Okay.
You can do that. You can, what was I going to say? Something about digging holes for things. Some people say you can do that with coffee grounds as well. Like, I've spoken to folks from Leave No Trace, and they're like, you can bury your coffee grounds in a cat hole if you have fresh coffee outdoors and don't want to pack it out with you. So that's, it depends on where you are. If you're in the desert, or so, like some parks don't want you to bury your waste. They want you to pack it out. Like you have to bring a wag bag, which is so fun. No, it's not, he says. Yeah, it's really no fun to pack out your poop. But some parks will tell you straight up when you get a backcountry permit or something, that you're not allowed to bury things. But otherwise, yeah, that's largely okay too.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, as a non-camper, I learned so many sustainable things, like just that I could use on an everyday basis. Like human waste has to be 200 feet away from natural water sources, and you have to bury it. And if you close one eye and put your thumb up, and the animal, you can't cover it with your animal, you can't cover the animal with your thumb, you're too close.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I've learned just like little things. So thank you again. This was so wonderful, and I hope everyone here picked up something new, or just reinforced their knowledge that Alisha gave in her presentation today. So thank you so much again, Alisha. And I will close out with a few slides, everyone. Just share my screen really quickly. So I'll just let you know about some of our upcoming events. So you will see here, if you head to, when my computer loads, the nomadicnetwork.com/events. We have them planned out pretty much through, I believe, mid-August at this point. So we see Alisha here in the top left corner. Tomorrow morning, we have Dating Abroad, which will be so interesting. One happy hour this week, Washington, D.C. You don't have to live there to go. You can also attend from wherever in the world. Next week, we have a travel game night. We have our July book club with Helen talking about Scotland. We're doing a big virtual meetup with all things Thailand, which is cool. The following week, we have how to get paid to travel with less than 10K followers. We have a partner event, which is a Taste of Asia cooking experience, which you get to like cook with the chef on camera. It's virtual, of course. And then Matt himself will be on the network on July 15th, what it's like traveling during COVID, what you need to know, because he just finished a road trip around the US and is currently in Greece. So he'll be presenting pretty much right after he gets back from Greece. And Helen O'Kyra is our July book club. This is going to take place on July 7th, 12 p.m. Eastern. The book is called Scotland Beyond the Bagpipes, and there is still time to get it and join us. Also, you don't have to read, you don't have to have finished the book before you come to book club. You can totally be in the middle of it and hang out, because it's Matt and the author talking about the book, answering all of your questions. So it's a really intimate gathering, which is cool. You get to hear Matt and the author discuss all things about the book. And then August, we have Scott Keys from Scott's Cheap Flights. Whoa, if I can get the name right. Talking about his book, Take More Vacations. So this one will be super interesting. I'm glad we had this one up a little early because he just created this phenomenon that a lot of international travelers use, Scott's Cheap Flights. So that will be Wednesday, August 4th. And Nomadic Map Plus, like I said earlier, we've moved off of Patreon onto Nomadic Map Plus, members.nomadicmat.com. Here's where you can get all the replays that you missed, personal stories not shared on the blog, input on the content that we create, live Q&As with Matt once a month where he answers your questions, a chance to win free signed books, free guides, exclusive access to a Facebook group where we're asking travel questions, advice, tips. It's a lot of fun, and access to our courses. So check out members.nomadicmat.com. And it would not be the same if it was just Alisha and myself chatting about sustainable camping, because I have been camping once in my life and it was not a success. It was at a music festival, so it doesn't count. So thank you all for being here and sharing your experiences, your recommendations, and making this a super useful talk for Alisha, myself, for everyone else in the audience. And we hope to see you next time. Bring a friend next time, everyone. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day wherever you are.